Friends, welcome back. Thank you for joining us for part two, those of you that were able to make it. If you didn't catch the first part, we're going to be picking it up from where we left off. And basically, Marcus laid the foundation of how you too could fall for a cult. It was pretty intense, man. I loved what you said because that's been on my mind a lot too, Marcus. So this is like the last look at this guy. Does this look like a guy that would fall into a cult? He's a musician. He hates religion. He just went in there, to get his drug problem handled. He was about to throw the guy through the window that challenged him to go further in Scientology. So how on earth did he get as deep as he got involved in? And he got involved so deep where in order to extract himself from Scientology, he had to almost lose his life, which we covered in the previous videos. Now, before we pick up from where we left off, he's going to take us on from there as to the shift that happened when that guy confronted him because he hadn't seen somebody before that didn't want to not only fight him, but seemed to genuinely care and want to help him. And that's a big thing about Scientology is that once we cross that line and we become true believers, he wasn't conning Marcus. He genuinely thought that Scientology was the answer and he wasn't going to let him leave that room. So there you see a switch on how his empathy or his caring can be used to manipulate him, not necessarily being from a bad childhood or anything. So before we pick it up from right there, I just want to let you guys know, take this opportunity to tell you what's been going on with the channel, just really quick here, because, I don't know how many people know what the hell's been going on. So this is the new channel. My channel got taken down for copyright violation in January, a couple months ago. So what I'm doing in the meantime is I'm re-uploading everything. And that will take about a month. There'll be new content coming as well. But I just wanted to let you guys know, if you go to the homepage, you can find podcasts that we have on Scientology. This is where me and Marcus's chat will be. And we have other guests. Mark
Turi, I recommend highly.
He's going on Sunday, day after tomorrow. And we're going to have that's part 4. We're going to have a very interesting chat on many different groups that he was a part of after Scientology, including the Hare Krishnas, Ekantar, and some other very interesting ones. And then we have HG Tutor, 10 interviews with a narcissistic psychopath. We're going to be doing interview number 11 on April 14th, and that'll be out on April 15th. Now, the Raising a Secret Society series, this is why I haven't been putting out new content, guys, and why I'm finally starting again, because this is taking forever to go back through each episode. It's kind of a blessing in disguise. The channel got taken down because I had the skills now to go back and fix the sound and add a whole bunch of stuff that I would have wanted to do if I had the skills back then. So I'm taking a lot of time. It's a lot of work to go back and redo all these episodes. Season 1 is missing many episodes, but season 2 will be up to date in a couple of days. There'll be a new episode out tomorrow, one more on season 2. It'll take a few weeks to get everything up here on season 1, and then you can simply go to the homepage and select whatever playlist you want, and all of these will be in order. Okay, with that out of the way.
That's a lot of shit.
Yeah, I know. But I just wanted to let people know what's going on. This is the new channel. I'm not going to attempt to get the other channel back. It was way too much of a pain in the ass to try to get a hold of the relevant people, etc. We lost like 50-some thousand subscribers, but it doesn't really matter because, like I said, I needed to kind of redo the channel and particularly the videos anyways. One other quick thing, Alex was kind enough to help me set up a coffee page. I haven't made any money off this channel, and I'm not doing this for the money, so you guys know. In fact, I'm probably like $10,000 in debt with all the equipment and shit that I put out there. But Alex did set up a support the channel page. If you'd like to help out, you can buy a coffee, and you can, do a one-time thing, or I can't even pull it up here, but whatever. On one of the videos, if you want to support the channel and help out, you can click on the description box and find out where to do that. You can also get help with the Aftermath Foundation. There's a link there that Goldie often drops. So if you are lurking, OSA, or anybody in Scientology, and you want to know how to get out, all the information is in all the description box of these videos. With that out of the way, we're going to pick it up from right where we left off. So Marcus, how the hell did you go from, that point where you wanted to murder this guy to what the hell happened next?
Well, I didn't want to murder him. I just wanted
to
throw him through the door.
That could have murdered him, though.
Maybe. I don't know. There'd be someone go, HCO, bring order. You ever heard that? Like a live,
Excuse
really, like,
me,
for real?
excuse me. Apostate Alex, who I believe you're going to be speaking to soon, is out of line here. I just have to put him in
Show
ethics
me
here real quick.
for that, dude.
Yeah, Alex, I'm sorry. We have no joking and degrading. You'll be thrown in the ethics division on the Discord channel. Next. Marcus,
Okay.
I subbed to your channel earlier. Oh, thank you.
Let
Thanks,
me
Poet.
address this. This
Can
is
I
funny.
can I say one thing real quick, Marcus, before we jump into this? Just one
Yeah.
quick thing that I forgot.
Yeah. Leave
Guys,
that there.
okay, I will leave that there. But one other quick thing, guys. Sorry, Marcus. I'll make this real quick. Let me remove this. I want to show people Marcus's channel, and hopefully Goldie will, Goldie or Apostate Alex could drop a link if you don't mind, because you will not be able to find his channel on YouTube. Talk about like YouTube suppression. I thought my situation was bad.
I didn't think that's a thing. I don't know if that's real or not, but
It's definitely real, but not, believe me, Marcus. I mean, we talked about this earlier. Your channel is impossible to find. In fact, if you guys want to test this out and go type in the name of his channel, which is in Theta, give it a shot. Let me know if it shows up, because I doubt it will. Anyways, this is the channel. Hopefully someone will drop a link in the description.
Leave that up there.
Okay, I'm also going to put this channel in the description box, because it will be very hard to find.
Yeah,
and this is the first. Yeah, please, Mark.
Leave it up so that I can respond to from a poet,
Sure.
And everyone else who might subscribe. I do not do scheduled like content. It's all whenever I feel like there is enough to say something that I will publish something, or if I get on a roll. But like there are videos there that I've trimmed everything down from 250 some odd videos to 50, and it's chronological as far as date uploads. So if you want to catch up on that, that's something you can do with, without subscribing. You don't have to subscribe. By all means, subscribe. But what I'm saying is, don't expect to get a ding every couple of days, because usually it takes me months to come up with something. That Blood of the Covenant video, I literally thought about for probably a year.
Wow. And that has to do, by the way, what he's talking about is how blood is not necessarily thicker than water, right? We were talking about just before we went live here about how we both had, well, we've become really good friends, like brothers, as he said. And I'm able to become closer with Marcus than I ever was with my own family. And I had to kind of cut them out of my life rather than the reverse, because otherwise they were always going to try to pull me back into Scientology and or manipulate me, not knowingly. That's just who they are. They're Scientologists. And that video that he's talking about, Blood of the Covenant, has to do with this is why I bring HG Tutor on and stuff. To, a lot of people write to me and they say, how can you help me out with this, that, and the other thing, while still staying in the abusive relationship? The very first step that you have to do is you actually have to leave and stop interacting with this person. And that's what that whole video that Marcus is talking about. Sorry to interrupt, brother. Please continue.
No, where was I? I was just saying that don't expect a lot from the channel. I mean, I'm not saying don't expect anything, but it's not as regular as Alex or Doug. I did a lot of my like a lot of the meat and potatoes was happening in real time in 2015. So like you'll see, in the Chronicles 2015, I had to stop publishing, and in 2017 I started publishing again, and I stopped, and then in 2018 I published some things. So it's all just a chronicle, and I'm pretty much like an archivist type dude. I do audio, and I record a lot of things. I learned a hard lesson that maybe you should record your phone calls in case something comes up in court. But yeah, the channel is still marinating. The whole new rebrand. It used to be called Wog World. When I got interviewed by Aaron Smith Levin in 2017, it came up in the Aftermath supporters group that Wog is a derogatory racist term. So I changed the name to my name, and I didn't do any activity for a long time. And I couldn't think of a good name, but like in Theta, ENTHETA in Scientology means bad. And so I thought it would be a clever play on words to just say, instead of Ian, it's like in Theta, which would be a positive, because Theta is positive in Scientology. So in Theta, I don't know what I'm going to put on it yet. I'm not sure, but the Blood of the Covenants, seem to fit with the direction that I want to go with in Theta.
Cool, man. So, Marcus, what's after you tossed this guy through the window or almost wanted to do so, how can you pick it up from there as to kind of how your mindset started to change? Did you start taking courses? Did you then immediately open up to more of Scientology?
So yeah, I can't really understate the effect that it had. Dominic, like being willing to get his ass beat, and I really would have, but that was like I said, that reason appealed to me. The fact that I was very aggressive, nose to nose, ready to knock this dude's head through the wall or the door, and he didn't flinch, not at all, and he was very concerned, and he got tears in his eyes, and he was like, "I just want to help you, man. I don't want to see you leave and fucking end up a statistic." And from that point forward, he worked with me as a course supervisor in Travis very closely, and undoubtedly under the direction of Kelly, who was the executive director, and Kathy Steiner, the mission holder, and uh, and Tom Steiner, the mission holder.
These, by the way, are people that he's talking about from the Ventura mission, which you've talked extensively on the channel.
They
Just for
also owned,
people.
yeah, the mission
Oh,
that
right.
Doug went to. They owned that. They owned one in Stuttgart, and they owned one in New Orleans.
That's right. That's right.
Um,
And they have one in the valley that you said that they originally started before that they
well,
went to
that's
Ventura,
old
right?
days. That's
Mhm.
70s and
Yeah.
60s and 70s. That was the Riverside mission.
Just to show people how long the Steiners have been around, and they were legendary in the mission field. And this is where Marcus became a staff member and then went over. They also were starting up Melrose, which I don't think we're going to get into in this chat because it's too,
Yeah,
we'll have to lead up to that. But we just wanted to let you know we're talking about the same mission. And this is why Marcus was able to give me a lot of
it's
information
a
about,
mission network too. It's
yeah,
they had five, and then they
that's
also had
crazy.
Narcanons as well.
That's right. They're very high up in the Ventura mission scene. So, anyways, please continue, man.
So do we did I did after, this was ups and downs course. I finished ups and downs course, and I had that first little guru trick where it's like, wow, wait a minute, something worked. Actually, there was something there. Um, and so I started doing other little courses. They call them the volunteer minister courses. They're very very small books, but each of them teaches a specific thing. Like I really enjoyed the basics of organization. Um, I've been in bands and worked in production at a young age. Like I was a young professional, like doing very well when I ended up where I was. I worked for UA Nashville as a stage manager and a backline tech, monitor tech, guitar tech, and like you know, I lost track of thought when you pulled this up. Why are you pulling this up?
I pulled up the wrong one. I was trying to pull up some basic pictures of, the choruses that you were talking about, but that was
I
the wrong
gotcha.
one.
Yeah. So the basic courses I did basics of organization. I did communication. There's like a communication course. It was not the classic comm course that everyone talks about. I never did that one. But this one is very similar. It's just the volunteer minister version, which is like the language is very very basic, like a child. And you
Hmm.
mentioned that earlier. It's like you want to, it's almost like this. Uh, they reverse you. They
Age
were
regression.
age regression. There you go. Thank you. Um, and I did one on marriage just for the hell of it to see what it had to say about marriage. And what else did I do?
What
I was
about any
still.
basic study manual? Did you do the base study manual? Did you do the
Yeah,
basic TR course?
we did. Yeah, we did TRs. We did
Hmm.
TRs. In fact, TRs were prescribed by the CS, the case supervisor.
As part of your drug handling?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes, honestly, it helped. The
Hmm.
hallucinations became, and I know why it helped now, from a psychological and psychiatric perspective. Um, and it's when the hallucinations that I was having, if I could confront them, in other words, be just learn to be, because I was in my 20s. I'd never experienced anything like this before. I'm dissociated. I told people in the last thing, it's like, imagine dropping acid and peaking for 6 months, and I was stuck there. So like anything, I'd try anything to get that to stop, because you got the dissociation going on, you got the depersonalization going on, you got derealization. Like I've always believed in aliens. Okay. So like,
Xenu or
no, no,
not
no,
Xenu
no.
specifically.
I've actually shied away from talking about this fact because
Oh,
of
I
the
believed in it
Scientology
too. I don't think
connection.
we're alone in the universe, dude. I think probably an idiot
Travis and I had a
outside.
sighting together one time. It was
You saw Xenu.
incredible.
Sorry, man.
See, that's why I
I'm
don't fucking
just
bring it up.
hey, I'm a believer too, man, in another life and aliens
Well,
probably
whether it's
too. But
alien or not, it's
bust your
alien
balls.
to us, right? It's
Yeah.
like some technology or something in nature that we don't understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, the next thing was, yeah, we did TRs. I did TRs with Dominic. I did TRs with Travis. I did TRs with it's sort of whoever's available usually in course room.
Exactly.
So I ended up doing TRs with a whole bunch of like other people that I don't remember their names or anything, and it had a good selection of people to press buttons on and have my buttons pressed by, and it's an exercise in sort of desensitization.
Yeah.
When it comes to TR0 bull bait, and but prior to that, I was getting significantly better when it comes to like just being okay with what I'm seeing. It wasn't necessarily that I'm not hallucinating as much. I just don't notice it as much. And that was the problem, because it fueled this anxiety that the more I see, the worse it gets, like a bad trip. Like the more you which I don't necessarily believe in bad trips anymore, but like if you were going to put it like that, that would make sense. Like the more you internalize, the more internalized you get, and you go nuts. You just go nuts. You think, you're better off dead than living that way.
Yeah.
So, and that was part of all of the care and love bombing that happened. Like, Dominic was right to care, like, and he was actually right to insist if he was doing the care for the person in front of you, a hard sell. So, and that was at
Real
that
quick,
time.
Marcus, just so we don't jump over, because I hope this isn't my Scientology training kicking in, but MUs or misunderstoods. Willie wants what's up, Willie? Good to see you, man.
Yeah, hey,
what's
Willie,
a
what's
TR
up?
is, and then also if you wouldn't mind explaining what Dominic's post was.
All right. So TRs are called training routines, and what it is, it's just a variation on, and this is not a professional definition or anything. This is my definition. TRs are like meditation, very much like meditation, where you start by just sitting with your eyes closed like this. And the goal, they have like, that part is the meditative part. The other part is all of the stuff that you're supposed to achieve and accomplish, which if you're trying to sit here and meditate, like there's no, like, you're trying to have an absence of thought or allow all of the thoughts to come and go. That way you can sort of cleanse your mind of all of the rumination that's going on. So, that's TR0. Yeah, thank you. TR0.
I don't know if you guys can you see it enough, Marcus, or should I blow it up a little bit?
Hold control and zoom in. There you go.
Okay, so here's what he's talking about, Willie. The training routines. This is one of the very first things that you do in Scientology.
We can go through all of these
that put you in the hypnotic trance.
Because I did all of these except for the upper indocs there. So
Marcus, let me just read this real quick, and then I'll
Sure.
throw it over to you. So it says the training routines are introductory services used in the cult, as well as affiliated programs Narconon, Crimenon, and Wise, which we talked about extensively on the channel. Those are their front groups. The church describes them. Now here's how they describe them: as a way of learning to communicate effectively and to control situations. Try putting control others in there, and you have it more correctly. Some critics and former Scientologists claim that the training routines have a strong hypnotic effect, causing hallucinations and out-of-body experiences known as exteriorization. Now, these experiences may or may not be true, who knows, but generally speaking, when I can tell you by being massively disassociated in Scientology auditing and training routines, it felt like I was out of my body, but I understand that now as simply being massively disassociated.
Yeah.
Training routines are used in the Narcanon program. Friends, this is where unsuspecting, parents will want to send their kid to get drug rehab, and they send them to, they go on the internet and they see Narcanon. They don't see that it's affiliated with Scientology, and they go down there and they get their kid absolutely hypnotized and thrashed in Scientology. Has nothing to do with getting them off drugs, and they often go on to either join staff or commit suicide. Training routines are used in the Narcanon program to overcome influences that Scientology theory considers to be relevant to drug use and recidivism. As I said, it has nothing to do with that. The church claims that they have achieved a success rate of 80%, complete and utter horseshit. But critics have believed these claims to be baseless. That's correct. So go ahead, Marcus. Take us through the TRs, man.
So I did OTTR0. I got some benefit out of that. I
Mm-hmm.
did TR0, where his eyes open. I was afraid to do that. Dominic was the coach, and I kept seeing stuff. Like I would stare at Travis's face or stare at whoever's face, and their face would just start.
Yep. I did it with my sister, Marcus, and she would change into aliens, and she would change into gnomes, and she would turn into shadowy figures. So you, whether you're on, dealing with Marcus's drug situation or not, you do hallucinate, bro.
Yeah, I just
yours
had
must have been
HPPD.
crazy.
Yeah, I had HPPD, so it was probably maybe more distress. Well, it was more distressing.
What's HPPD? Is that what you're talking about?
Hallucination, perception, persisting disorder.
Got it. Were you absolutely tripping out on these TRs, bro?
When we started with the eyes open, I was very, very freaked out. Yeah. I didn't even want to start doing them. Like Dominic had to talk me into doing them. And it was a similar thing where, he was like, I was being less combative because I had realized that somewhere in his heart, he really did want to help me.
Yep.
So I was kind of like I was an acolyte at that point. I was like, okay, what do I need to do? And this is what I needed to do. I didn't want to do it, and he had to convince me and help me and sort of like talk me, like bungee jumping, like just
through
go.
The choruses. Through the
TRs.
I see. Okay. And Marcus, just to clarify, this is the same guy that you wanted to throw through the window.
Yeah, the door. The window was to the right. I don't know how I could have possibly thrown him through the window. Like I would have had to pick him up and then like thrown him to the right to get him through the window.
I know what course we were talking about. So okay, yeah. The door. All right.
Yeah, the door. Because he was standing in front of the door to block me to get out, not the window. But
are these TRs, by the way, the first course that he actually got you on after the ups and downs?
No, this was like a tip, right? They call it technical individual program. They saw, like I said, I was a young and successful person. So like more able, all this stuff. Tom and Kathy were old hippies and they love music.
Right.
And I worked in the music business. As a young 19-year-old, I was working in the music business with country music acts.
Is another thing I'd like to interject, Marcus, as to how they got you. They always take something that you're into and they use that as a hook. They promise Marcus they subtly suggested, shall we say, that if you come out to Scientology, you'll be in LA and we could possibly help you out with your music career. Something along those lines.
That's a short, condensed version that happened over about a year's time. Yeah. With multiple people.
Mm-hmm.
With Tom, with Kathy, with even Monica called me, and then Jim started calling me, and then before long, after Jim got a hold of us, how that went.
He's a master salesman. This guy Jim that he's talking about, I can't even describe this guy.
Yeah, we had a lot of conversation, and we weren't even on lines, which means going to the mission. This is skipping forward. My story is like very much like a Tarantino film.
It is, dude. That's why we're taking a long time and multiple parts to tell it. We haven't even started yet, but by the way, guys, if you didn't watch the previous 3 interviews, his story is absolutely insane. I'm really happy that you're alive too, bro. We always say this whenever I talk to him on the phone, man, and to Alex too, and all of us. The very fact he's you're young, you got the rest of your life ahead of you. You didn't waste away like a lot of people are going to do in the Sea Org, which is really sad. We fucking got out, dude. And even though it almost cost you your life, I still suffer from PTSD today. I would do anything, brother, not to be back there. And it's a huge, huge accomplishment that we should give ourselves a pat on the back for and never forget. I don't have to tell you this, But I always end off our phone conversations with, dude, congratulations. And I'm proud of you and us for getting out and that we're alive and we're here to talk about it, dude. Do something positive with the experience. Sorry, man. I'm just glad you're
Yeah,
alive, bro.
it's it's a little bit of both. Like sometimes I feel like talking about it is not so great, and sometimes
Hmm.
I feel like it can have an impact, and it certainly has an impact on me talking about it. Obviously, it's just like any kind of therapy, like cognitive behavioral therapy, and talking about these things. Um, the the story is very multifaceted. It's like a Quentin Tarantino film. So there will be points where, like just now, where we were talking about a point in time that was like a year prior, and then we jumped up a year.
To the
So
TRs, which was a good segue and a good question by Willie though, because it does, despite you not trying to find a linear fashion or through line,
mhm.
that is one of the first courses you were taking on. So you haven't lost it, bro. We're talking about the TRs and shit.
Yeah, so the first TRs, which was not the therapeutic TRs, was likely a technical individual program that Tom and Kathy would have devised with Kelly, the executive director, and because this is one of the things that people get massive wins on. Go sit in the park with your eyes closed
Right.
for 30 minutes and clear your fucking mind. Tell me you're not going to have a quote win. I don't care what you call
Exactly.
it. You're going to call it a realization, an epiphany, or
Hmm.
something. So, like, they immediately put me on TRs, and so that I could probably get a win. I'm just thinking retroactively, speculatively, even as to the executive structure and how they operate
Yeah.
from, my knowledge later on when I actually was in the executive rooms and stuff in the missions and would hear them talk about cycles with like people with your dad, how they're going to
Yeah.
set it all up, how we're going to manipulate this and that. So if Tom and Kathy had sort of scouted me as a potential like a person that could do certain things that other people can't,
Hmm.
that would have been the time that strike while the iron's hot, get them some wins, and
Hmm.
then start working on them. Because it wasn't long, I was out. Travis was done with his Purif. He went back to Jackson. I
Hmm.
was done with my Purif, and we had decided to move to Hattiesburg to play music with this guy that named Wilson Dever, who is just like a genius, nothing short of a musical genius, and we just rented a house there. But that's whenever the contacts started becoming more frequent, and Monica started calling people from L.A. and people from Ventura and
Really?
people from Baton Rouge were calling me and telling me about this
Really?
Melrose project.
Really? While you were in Louisiana, Marcus, they were calling you
Yeah.
from California? No, I shouldn't be surprised. I know how much they plan, but
Yeah, so the Baton Rouge
damn.
mission they had found two potential candidates, my brother and I, to
Mhm.
go out there with Dominic to establish the Melrose mission, and so that's what they were talking about, and I wasn't so I really at the beginning wasn't that interested in it. I was more interested in playing the music with Will and Travis and Jeremy, but the they started playing into the especially Dominic. He was saying, well, you remember how bad you were when you came in here, and now look at you.
Wow.
Look at you now. You're doing what you wanted to do.
Makes so much sense.
You're making music. Now, what would happen, and this is how he would kind of phrase it, what would happen if you did more?
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, so and over time I was, it really sunk in. I'm like, well, yeah, maybe he's right.
Yeah.
What if I became more able, you know? And so I started giving it some thought. I talked to Travis about it. Um, from what I recall, it was sort of a reluctant, like, I don't know, maybe we could do that. But I applied more pressure, I'm sure. Like, I know my personality. When I look at myself in the rearview mirror, I see a very pushy kind of a uh, borderline antagonistic. Like, I'm gonna beat you with this conversation until you just agree and you become agreeable. And so we eventually, after all the phone calls and Jim setting up like the U-Haul, like there were certain conditions that Travis and I said that we would go under. Like, number one, you got to pay for our gas. Number two, we need a place to live. Number three, we need a U-Haul trailer to move all of our stuff. And I'm not paying for any of that. So y'all are going to have to figure that out. And the most certainly, the people who foot the bill for that were the people at the Ventura mission. When we arrived finally, I remember everyone already knowing who we were because they'd probably been regged. In other words, asked for money to get us out there so that we could begin a new mission in Melrose. Any questions?
What do you think was inspiring you to want to do that, Marcus? Because, like you said, you already had your dreams of music setup. What did they say specifically that caused you to want to also include Scientology in setting up the mission as part of your life's goal? Do you know what I mean?
Well, when I talked to Jim, he was talking about he knew the people who invented that banjo,
I don't.
that
Yeah.
the jive, he knew the jive. I didn't know who the jive aces were, but it was another band from Ventura. You might know the name of the band. Who was it? Cherry Poppin' Daddies.
Yeah, ska band.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do know
So
that
they
band.
did Zoot Suit Riot,
Yeah, yeah, it's a
Riot,
great
throw
fucking
back a
song.
bottle of
I was
beer.
totally into ska too. That would have worked for me. They would have gotten me on staff with that. So, but what I'm asking, Mark, is because I know they find somebody's what they're into, and they kind of sell you. You can do that in Scientology too. Like Apostate Alex, for example, Alexander. He loved the slick videos that they were showing and stuff, and he wanted to use his skills to he wanted to produce so they told him, hey, you can go to gold and you can do this, and we'll get you into the intelligence divisions, because he was interested in that aspect. Of course, he ended up being a bookstore officer, and just like sometimes in the military and other places that you get in for
Yeah.
one reason, but then you're posted somewhere
Get
else.
kicked down. Yeah.
But in other words, they tell you what you wanted to hear. They got me on staff. I put an Iris that, God damn it, Marcus. Iris, by the way, is the girl that they would use, as you know about, Marcus, too, and Monica.
Iris is the girl that got me to write down all of these things that are absolutely terrible.
I can't believe she's so sweet too, man. She at least that's how she seemed to me. So I bet you it broke her heart to make
sweet.
you have to.
It did. She actually broke down and cried one time.
I can't even see her actually doing that with you.
Well, I know, right? But Kathy was putting a lot of fucking pressure on her.
No doubt. Kathy's fucking evil.
I'd almost killed myself in the mission. I almost cost them another Lisa McPherson fucking fiasco. I mean, I'll tell you, regardless of the shattered state of affairs of a relationship that I have with my stepfather, like if I'd have killed myself in the mission, they'd have been out there wondering what the fuck happened, and he would have spent money. My mom would have made him basically spend money to figure out and figure out what the hell happened. But
and they're aware of these
idea.
a lot. That's amazing that their own son's literally had to hang himself, and they still. I mean, have you talked to him since then, Marcus, about the ins and outs, or is that kind of an off-topic subject?
Yeah, I've talked to my mom. I've talked to both of them.
Did she feel bad for getting you? Because your mom was the one that gave you and Travis the money to. She must have, but she didn't know, dude. She thought she was helping her kid out. She didn't know what you were involved in, right?
Right. She had no idea. And we would go home for Christmas every year too. Both Christmases.
Keep your lips shut about Scientology. Did you ever try
to? Good roads, good weather. Is all it was. Which means don't talk about anything Scientology. If people ask about Scientology, you don't talk about anything. You just sort of like, it helps me.
Yep.
Were
you given those kind of orders by Jim specifically because your family might question or was antagonistic? Were you told that when you go back on family trips to keep quiet, or were you told
I
to
didn't have to
possibly
be
promote
told?
to them?
I didn't have to be told because I'd by the time we made it to Ventura and started our training and stuff, like within a couple of days, it became apparent. I forget I don't know what references they had us read, but I know Jim, he would sit down with everyone involved with Melrose individually in groups, and the whole group at different times. and explain what it was we were doing with Melrose, and he would have, you know, all of his volumes behind him, and for sure he had all of the references in place to sort of like get group cohesion, unit cohesion at maximum efficiency, and he knew how to do that while being hard sell, which means care for the person in front of you. So he did it from a very sincere place, and you know, it works. It works whether it's Scientology or Mormons or
it's true.
Catholicism or anything. You'd be sincere in your approaching any kind of problem or anything that you do, something that they don't want to do. If you can find in yourself to put yourself in that person's what they call a viewpoint, right? If you can
Valence.
really, well, valence is different.
I know. I knew you were going to call me out on that.
So viewpoint is just putting yourself, like someone's viewpoint, and all of the factors that exist in their life. Jim was really good at doing that.
Damn right he was.
You know, he could really put himself in your shoes.
Yes, he could.
But at the same time, it's a very, like, he's only doing that so that he can find the little things that he can pull out and then come back to his point of view and then start, you know, impaling you on the wall.
Oh, dude, you are definitely re-stimulating me. Jim fucking could do everything you just described, and that he was just so masterful at what he did.
Oh,
and that's
Travis has a really awesome comment.
Oh, let me pull it up, man. Travis, what's up, Travis? How are you?
He says they told me that night that Marcus was released. Never told me why.
Oh wow!
So he did not know.
Wow, really,
that
Travis?
I hung myself.
They never even freaking told you that, bro. His own brother. Can I ask you something about Travis real quick, Marcus? Because you said that why weren't they? Because he got out of there relatively quickly, right? He got in and kind of out.
Yeah,
Did they pressure both of you? Were you into it more? Was Travis something about his personality where he was more able to escape easier? Why didn't they go for him as hardcore as you? Or did they?
That's a good question. In Travis's interview with Aaron, he says, and I believe him because I know I was me. He says that I was very hardcore, and I was.
That's not a bad thing, though. You're into something, you believe in it.
Yeah. Well, you know, the things you do on staff are usually not great, but
That's true.
They're not always bad. They're not.
But you didn't know that at the time either.
Right. Well, just to answer that section of the question, you know, was I hardcore? Yes, I was extremely hardcore. Because going back Quentin Tarantino style, you know, like I saw the care every step of the way. They made sure to hard sell. And that's the thing about a lot of, I've brought this up before. Other people will disagree. That's fine. The way that the Steiners ran their missions was modeled somewhat after the Sea Org, but they had their own thing. They worked on the Flag Special Briefing course, which was a huge success for Hubbard in getting high-level executives onto course and staff at Flag. Now, they weren't the only hands in those documents and those, but ultimately Hubbard himself had to pin it and say, you know, this is the data. But Diane, his daughter, actually had communication with the Riverside mission recruits that were sent to Flag to get special training. Tom and Kathy developed the Flag Special Briefing course.
Not many people know that, by the way. That's amazing. And there's
so when other staff members that come out and talk about, you know, how, or even Sea Org members that weren't, you know, in the mission network, Chris Shelton would know how Tom and Kathy Steiner work.
That's right, because he was at the Santa Barbara org too, which is just a short stones away from Ventura.
Chris would come to Ventura.
I'm sure he did.
I remember because there are always particles moving.
Real quick, just to interject, Marcus, to the audience that doesn't understand, Santa Barbara, we're talking about California, and that's where Chris Shelton worked. And where we're talking about right now, Ventura and Melrose, they're all within about 2 hours of each other.
Yeah. So,
you were talking
Tarantino.
we were talking about, so it sounds like one, you wanted to be in more because you were more, I bet you Jim sized you up and said, this is a guy who once we hook
Well, yeah,
him,
he was
he's
a
going to be a
musician
master
himself, and
salesman.
he grew.
But
He
why again, though, was Travis able, in your opinion, to
get out.
waddle out of there a little easier?
Well, I can tell you that his mother, uh, from her lips to my ears, uh, told me that she told Travis's wife to go over there and get his son out of that.
Really?
And
Really?
she joined staff. She joined staff. She came out there and was the tres sec for Melrose once everything was built. And for Christmas one year, I had a gut feeling that he wasn't coming back after Christmas. This is how hardcore I was, because I told
Wow.
Vicky Miller,
Mhm.
the ED at Ventura, I said, look, you need to separate Travis and Destiny. Otherwise, when they come back, they're just going to leave. And they're like, no, that's not going to happen. Nope, we got this under control. Thank you for your input. Bye. And I'm like, okay. And then there was a communication cycle with Kathy. I told her the same thing. I went to Kathy. I went into her office. See, this is another thing that's like,
I would
other
never go
people,
into Kathy's
no,
office.
other
By the way, we're
people,
talking about a very scary person at the mission. This guy was scary, but she didn't intimidate Marcus.
yeah. So I just do remember
Kathy.
the other staff members looking at me like I was crazy when I would just go into her office and be like, yo,
You
can I
are
talk to
crazy.
you?
You are nuts, dude. I
And
can't
she
even
would
believe you
look
did
at
that.
me like I was crazy too.
Yep.
And she would be like, what?
Exactly like what you just, God damn it. This is a restimulative last couple of live streams, bro. I can't talk to you anymore, man. It's all coming
Press
back. God
stop.
damn it, dude. I forgot about her, man. It just really got her beingness, her valence.
That's a valence. There you go.
There we go. That was the correct use.
Correct usage. Yes.
So you were the one that
I told Kathy, I said, look, I told Vicky that that Destiny and Travis should not be going home together.
Wow.
Because one of them or both of them ain't going to come back, or they'll come back and then they'll leave. You're giving them too much time to be restimulated and to be in the WOG world, and their bank is just going to take control. Like, that's how much.
You're already speaking like a programmed Scientologist, and you absolutely believed in what you were saying. I know exactly. And look at how you're being used as a tool to get your brother to come back. A lieutenant, as they call it in narcissism.
I wasn't being used as a tool.
nomenclature.
I was volunteering to do that.
But
that was
what I'm saying, Marcus. Me and
privy to.
Alex were just talking about this earlier. We are doing it on our own free will. Nobody's holding a gun to us. Kathy isn't locking us in a room. You know, that interview that Andrew Gold did was really interesting because it came up where now Alex was locked in a room and I was too, but I would say I was locked in rooms not against my own free will. I needed to be handled. I needed to have my ethics in. I need to go retrieve that person, like Marcus is saying. He knows that there's too much gap. It's not that they're going to come back to the cult. That's not what he's thinking. He's thinking their bank is going to be restimulated if they go back to the holiday. Just like that's what I'm saying, that the words and the programming and the concepts of the reactive mind are already solidly in at this point for you. Damn, dude. Yeah. Well, real quick on that, Marcus, how long would you say it went from wanting to throw that guy against the door to those words and all that stuff becoming a part of your beingness? How long was that process?
Year and a half.
Interesting. That's like fast. That's
maybe fast. 2, because we're talking about. It's hard for me to remember when Travis and Destiny actually left. But you know, it was Travis. I think had done his year. A year into his contract, signed a 2-year contract. So, but I remember that being a big ordeal when they came back, because they sat at the they sat at the table in Vicky's room, in Vicky's executive office. And it's a long table, and they were at the end of it, and Vicky's at the other end. And then there's not just Kathy, but Tom, and who else was there? I can't remember who else was there, but they were all like trying to handle them on staying, and Destiny was just not having it. I could see it through the windows. Like, Travis was maybe on the fence, but I can't say for sure. You know, you have to interview him. But
By the way, Travis, if you ever want to come on, buddy, just reach out. You know, you're more than welcome to share your story.
I just remember them being like stone cold. This is what we're doing. We're not asking permission. We're not. Right. He was planning beforehand to leave. So
I wish you were here, man, because I just want to ask you a question on that. Would you know why he was planning on leaving beforehand? Was his wife? What was the
well, they
thing?
weren't married at the time,
His girlfriend?
but they had split up whenever we moved to Hattiesburg. And when we moved to California, it was just like the distance, you know. And yeah, as it turns out, whenever they went home for Christmas, if I'm not mistaken, is whenever she got pregnant for Corey, my nephew. And I don't know if they knew that at the time, but you know, it wasn't long after that they found out when they moved back home, when they moved back to Jackson, Mississippi. Yeah, so after that, and I stayed, you know, I was like, fucking bye. Good luck in the wog world.
Can I ask you a real quick question on that, Marcus? Because again, like, what was it about? You just wanted to get the drugs handled. The TRs are fixing that. So is it that you're learning that there's choruses? It's definitely because they are helping you. The hallucinations are going away. Is that what was kind of convincing you that the rest is good and to get
Yeah.
hardcore within a year and to kind
Yeah,
of
my
dedicate
goal,
yourself to this?
yeah, my goal was to do enough
Interesting, Dave.
like FSMing and uh get enough like credit on staff to get my drug rundown.
Right,
Which is
right.
an auditing process that they said would finish all of my issues with drugs. And that's really was
Right.
my ultimate goal, was to get through to the DR, they call it the DRD. And so I was very motivated to make Melrose successful and get people in auditing, because that meant more GI, gross income, and more favor and more rewards in the form of auditing, because a lot of staff members don't get auditing. You know, Aaron Smith talks
That's
about
true.
never wanting auditing. I don't
I
know
know.
what the fuck he's talking about. I
Me
wanted
neither. I did
auditing
too.
the entire fucking time. And
Fucking A, bro. Fucking A. And by the way, just to show people real quick this bridge, what he's talking about the drug rundown, this is all the steps they have, by the way, guys. And it only goes up to OT8. And the poor bastards in Scientology, my dad included, he got up to OT8 and he's waiting 20 years for these levels to come out and they don't exist. But what Marcus is talking about is right here. This is the purification rundown that he first got on, which he got some wins out of that was, you know, helping with the hallucinations, apparently, right?
yeah.
The next one is TRs and objectives. Now, I think this has been updated to the survival rundown, in which
Okay.
David Miscavige has taken. I'm not going to get into the nomenclature here, but objectives meaning in the outside world as opposed to subjective in your mind. So you're doing things with objects in the exterior world. This has been updated to by David Miscavige, where you have to do hundreds and hundreds of hours of these, which really, really get you in the trance state. And then the next step is a Scientology drug rundown. Did you end up doing that? Do you want to explain what that is?
I got onto the TRs and objectives. I had won enough
Nice.
favor and whatever and credit to start TRs and objectives. But I also like had to pay some $18,000 or something in addition to it. There was a point where Kathy offered me an ultimatum because I was such a ethics particle. In other words, bad person to have on staff. I mean, she said, you're either going to have to keep going up the bridge or you're going to have to leave. This was after Travis left. And my grandfather was the only person, because when you're getting registered, when people are trying to get you to pay for something, after a while you run out of like I ran my credit card was maxed. I didn't have any real equity, you know. And so it was like something like 18 grand or something that my grandfather had sent me, but he didn't understand what the hell was going on. I had to talk to my mom about it. And then she was like, hey, Marcus needs some help. Can you give him 18 grand or whatever? And I got the
18
money and
grand.
paid into my TRs and objectives all the way up to my DRD.
One
Never.
quick interjection, Marcus. Are you saying it was $18,000 just to do your TRs and objectives and the DRD?
Yeah. But
Fucking A.
that's only from what I was told, that
Mhm.
is a half price, because, and that's probably true, because I was on staff and there's a reduced rate for auditing. There is.
Can I say something about that? Which again, you're stimulating. By
Huh.
the way, I don't speak this way, just with other ex-Scientologists. So I'm not accidentally using these words. You know, you told me so much information about my dad and how you guys would have meetings about how to rope the top chiropractor, the top person with money, and how my dad would always come up in those fucking meetings.
Mm-hmm.
You know what they did, Marcus, which I found out just not that long ago. I was kept on that mission, and they were trying to suck as much money out of me and my parents as possible. And my auditing was taking 1,000 times longer than other people. I found out later.
Of
I
course.
did, dude, but God damn it, I trusted these people, man, and they were making me run every process on every grade. To give you an
Mm-hmm.
example, guys, you can go from the bottom up to clear in a year or two if you really bust ass, and that's doable. I got up to grade 4, and it took me years and years and years and endless sessions. And I found out that they were overcharging me. They were making me stay in set. They were doing everything they can. It's so obvious now, Marcus. I understand it's just a money making scam, but we're back to people like Jim Hamry that I trust, dude. Monica, Vicky, even the freaking hag, Mrs. Steiner. I mean, dude, these people seem like they would never bullshit me or try
Right.
to get one over on my dad. So when you told me that shit, it really fucked me up, man.
Well, that's part of the initial reason I reached out, because I knew, as
Thanks,
the
man.
son of a very wealthy donor at that
Mhm.
mission, would have had a pretty hell of a shit time growing up.
Yep.
Because,
Thank you for
as you
recognizing
just
that,
said,
man.
well, I mean, as you just said, like, every action that could be done would have been done and sold
Exactly.
by Jim to your dad,
You're
which
absolutely right
means
about that.
you got an egg scrambler putting right in your temple.
It is, Amanda, but this is the way Scientology rolls, and we're kind of back to this dichotomy of Jim was both a victim of Scientology and was under the Steiner's thumb, which you've gone in a lot of detail about, so I have sympathy for him. He was an expert at what he did. He had nowhere to go. That was his life, and who knows when he got in, probably in his early 20s. So he was under massive pressure. It's like it's a pyramid, so the pressure comes from the top. So everybody's just doing their job and putting the pressure down below them. So Jim, I don't know how do you think he justified it in his mind, Marcus? Because we're on two sides of the mind where part of Jim knows that he has to get as much money as possible before Thursday at 2. That's when you
Yeah.
have to report the statistics. So you'll do anything to make that happen. And
Yeah.
at the same time, he's showing that care and that love and not pushing too hard to push the client away. And he
Man.
does believe in Scientology. He wouldn't be there, Marcus, if he wouldn't have done all that unless he was really believed he was helping people. So can you imagine the mind scramble that was going on with that particular guy when he had
Yeah,
to
well, I've
do
seen it.
things to that,
I
like
would
my
see
dad? What would you see, man?
I would see Jim breaking down in his office,
I
complete
never saw that
breakdown.
side of him.
Well, that
That's
would be at 6
incredible.
or 7 in the morning when he'd show up. Most of all of what Jim would
Wow.
do was so early or late that
You
no one else could see it, right? Because, like, the types of things that Jim did, if you're talking about swindling people out of millions and millions and millions of
Yes, and
dollars,
he
and
did.
destroying families, and
Yep,
getting people to move their families into tiny little fucking units, and
yep.
then struggling with the feeding the kids and all this stuff, like, he held all of that on his fucking shoulders, because he wasn't making it go right. And the reason they were suffering, this would be pointed out by Tom or Kathy, or Vicky, more like Vicky and Kathy,
Mm.
that he was the one failing as a registrar, because they're the ones that are suffering. If he was applying Scientology correctly, they wouldn't have any problems.
That's
And
so
so Jim
evil.
had this massive weight of all of that. He did have a conscience,
Mhm.
that
I
hard
know.
sell thing was not it was misapplied, but it was not disingenuous.
I know exactly what you're saying. Such a mind fuck listening to you break all this down, bro, all these years later.
Then
So
Travis says, "I read your dad."
I can't believe that. Travis, you're forgiven. By the way, guys, just to let you know, my dad, I just got to share something real quick, if you don't mind, Marcus, because it's
Mm.
been crying the last few weeks or whatever. My mother, I told you guys my dad was never going to leave Scientology, that he was going to, as they would say in Scientology, drop the body without ever understanding what he was involved in and the trauma that it had on me and the rest of the family members. So my mom, which she's never not supposed to do, she's a hardcore Scientologist too, as far as I know. I have no reason to think that that would change. She sent me a letter in the mail about 2 weeks ago, letting me know she's not supposed to do this. She's not supposed to communicate with Doug, the SP. And it was a very beautiful, touching, short letter saying that my dad had passed. And we've been emailing a little bit back and forth. There's been no talk about Scientology. She's definitely hurting. She sounds very different in the emails than I've ever heard her. I'm not going to give my hopes up. I'm not going to go back to the lion's den. But I just wanted to say, it's been really weird with my dad passing. It's kind of changed me, Marcus, because the video I'm going to put out tomorrow was shot many months ago. And it's all about my dad. And I don't even want to put it out because it's like, the only problem that I had, and I told my parents this many times, and I just wrote this in a short email because we got some calm going with my mom. She's hurting right now.
That's amazing.
It is fucking amazing. But like I said, I'm not, that we're going very slowly. But this is also, as you know, Marcus, when people can leave because they're vulnerable, and this can get you to reevaluate everything. So we're treading lightly. But
because it's so easy to key something back in.
Yeah. But can you imagine? I said this in one of the videos, Marcus, and I feel bad for saying it, but it's true what I feel. I can't imagine exiting this world. I kept having this recurring nightmare. When I got out of Scientology, I had CPTSD, and that was playing out in my nightmares. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You talked about being on a permanent acid trip that you couldn't turn off with the drugs. That's how I describe it. For 10 years, I was peaking on acid. I can't turn it off and I have to get through it. So that would play out in my nightmares. And the recurring nightmare I kept having is, if I leave this world still being a program Scientologist, in other words, I thought I was going to die every day. It was hard getting food. I was homeless. It was a long story. But I said, I need to understand what happened to me, and then I can die and I'll be okay. It's not because I necessarily believe in past lives or any of that stuff. I don't have any of that worked out. I just kept having this dream that motivated me, bro, to keep going, to not be rubber band back to Scientology, to not fall from my parents trying to pull me back, even though I wanted to, dude. I was very codependent. I needed them, but I resisted because the most important thing, man, was I need to at least understand what happened to me, because I had this vision that as soon as you pass, my dad, for example, for a split second would see that his whole life was a lie. Everything would be clear to him in 1 second. He would see for a quick moment, and then he would go out. I don't think that happens at all. I'm just saying that kept playing in my mind, almost as if my subconscious was talking to me, telling me, you need to make sure that you're going to get out of this. It's hard to do. And don't get rubber band back to Scientology, because you know what it's like, bro, about the pull and the programming. If it's still in your mind, you were in India for 7 years. So bro, that until you get that out of your mind, you're always susceptible to pulling a Rathbun. You're always susceptible to being bought off or going back in. I just wanted to share that, man, just to, it's kind of an ongoing theme with my folks or whatever. I just wanted to let people know that unfortunately my dad has passed. I don't know. I haven't even been able to process it. It feels very weird. And I really, really miss him. And the thing that I told my mother, and what she kind of reciprocated, is not the Scientology part, but I said, I always love you and dad. And I always know that you guys love me. The only problem I ever had, and the only thing I don't love, is Scientology and L. Ron Hubbard. So they at least know that. I know that they love me despite what their actions are. They're doing what they're programmed to do. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. But they love me, dude. And Scientology, even though it broke our family completely apart, on a deeper level, it didn't break the bond, dude. And I got as much, I told you, I'm not going to repeat it here, but I told you personally story, Marcus, the closure. I got an even better closure with my father than I would have even thought possible, especially considering that he was an OT8 and did not want to speak to me. So I just wanted to say that, man. And thanks for being there, and to you and Alex, because I really needed you guys that night, man. And you guys, I reached out to Marcus, and I reached out to Alexander, Apostate Alex, and the X community is a very, very good thing to be a part of, because I've never had anybody to talk to that understands this. This is what I was babbling about, Marcus, forever, to anybody that would listen to my acting class, anybody around me. They didn't understand it. It brings us back to what we were talking about in the first thing, where I never fall for a cult. That would never happen to me. Right. And then not only that, but people like that would try to give me advice. I'd stop talking about it, Doug. Bro, it's such a relief to talk to you, man, about stuff because you get it. And to Alex, man, sorry for the ramble. I just fucking appreciate you guys, man.
No, that's great compliment. Thank you. Thank you.
Dude. Yeah, thank you, brother.
On that note, there is
we're already can you believe
it's
that
an
a
hour.
fucking hour already went by? We didn't like that's a good sign because it just goes by. By the way, guys, we're trying to keep these short. Nobody really wants to listen. Maybe they do, but we get kind of bored. I don't have time to watch like a 2.5 hour video. So I think this is going to be the new style. We're just going to do little hour interviews. And Marcus said he would be more than willing to come back. I mean, we could do 50 of them. We haven't even gotten to the story, let alone what I really wanted to talk to you about, bro. On the positive side, in which we were touching upon in the videos that got deleted, is how to actually recover from this stuff. Because you have a whole bunch of knowledge that you got, which started with your biological father starting that process. There's so many things to talk about, but
sure, yeah, no, that's a lot.
Do you want to keep it in an hour, man? And maybe
let's keep it at an hour. But if you let me share my screen,
sure. How do there we go, perfect.
Yeah, there you go. So I just wanted to pull this up as like a good ending off point. This is the official YouTube for my pseudonym or my brother and I's pseudonym in music, and we did a record last year. Well, it was released last year with Rick G. Nelson from Polyphonic Spree and the Afghan Wigs. And there's this particular track that I would oh God, no story with Monica. Stop it. That's Finn Mort is my my partner here, and she's trolling me. There's a song called Don't Give Up. There's a song called Don't Give Up. And everything that Doug just said, it takes a lot out of a person. It takes a lot to pull things out of yourself that you didn't know were even possible to survive this shit.
Yep. Well said.
And this song Don't Give Up is a reflection into that. The whole album is sort of it spans ideas from multiple periods of time in my life, but Don't Give Up is a sort of a good message to end off with. And if you were going to subscribe to a YouTube page that would be updated probably more frequently, this would be the one. But by all means, subscribe to In Theta. I do have ideas and things to create for that, but I really do want to share Travis and I's music because it's something that we did together. We went through a whole lot. We've been through a lot together, and even before we were born, we were going through things together.
Wow.
So
wow, man,
you can pull that off the screen now.
Well, just one thing on this real quick, to let you, Marcus, audience, all the links to In Theta, which is impossible to find just by typing it on YouTube, as well as this channel that he just talked about and anything else, please search the description box of this video in a couple hours and you'll be able to find everything that he's talking about. Would you want to end off on that song, Marcus? Because, dude, that freaking song that we ended off the last one with, Going Clear, I love.
I mean, if you want to play it and it can,
will we get a copyright or like
No, I mean,
do you want to play it? It's up to you. I mean, it just sounds like a beautiful song.
Play the official video. I'll show you where it's
okay,
at.
But before that, we're gonna end off with this, guys. So before you play that, Marcus, would you mind?
I don't even know if it's gonna. Is the audio gonna come through? Is what I'm wondering.
You have to have it on Chrome. Are you on Google Chrome on your browser?
Yep.
Hit play and see if it'll play. I hope so. Perfect.
It does.
Now, one quick question, Marcus, before we go. Would you mind answering a couple of people's questions in the chat?
Oh, no, not at all. We can do question and answer. We can give it 15 minutes or something.
5 or 10 minutes. Just wanted to pop a couple questions at you so we don't leave people hanging. Somebody asked who's Monica. So we'll guys, we have so much to talk about, especially since we have a mutual shared trauma experience with Monica, Jim Hammery, Iris. Oh God, you got so many things going on in my head. We'll talk all about the Ventura mission and all that. So please leave any comments. Please leave in the video any comments about what you want to hear in the next one. And we will take up Monica. We can do a whole episode just on her, whatever you guys want to hear. But there's so many.
Well, there's one. Where was he on staff and what years? I was on staff at the Steiner Mission Network, which basically means I could be kind of deployed anywhere. But where I was Ventura, Melrose, and for a short time, Baton Rouge Mission from the years 2001 to 2005.
And it's a hell of a story that we told last time in the other 3 videos, like I said, but if Marcus is kind enough to, I don't want to re-traumatize him, but I think we'll be getting into the whole story. We didn't even actually start it yet.
Yeah. What my shoe size is 9, Travis.
Shoe size is 9. And then there were some other questions here. Let's see. Let me just search it real quick. Oh, you guys are so nice. By the way, Alex, thanks for Alex has been gifted with the wrench and he did a fine job in modding, and we might ask him to come back a second time. I think he passed the test. It's good to see you, Amanda. How are you doing? This is a speech I heard from Doug, who's my first person I watched on YouTube that got out of a cult. And you were in the JWs, right, Amanda? Correct me if I'm wrong. That helped me a lot. Oh yeah, she sent me a very beautiful message. You want to talk about a community that helps out? Just had the channel deleted, fucking 50 thumbs down subscribers. My heart and soul in those goddamn videos. I do think the videos that I put up were fair use. I didn't get any warning. I got 3 strikes within 24 hours. And then right out of the blue, Amanda leaves me a message on Instagram that instantly perked me up and all the problems were gone. So it's very mutual, Amanda, because sometimes people don't know that just taking the time to drop lines, and it's a very heartfelt, message that she sent me. That meant a lot to me, man. I just wanted to say that. So
I'm scrolling up and I'm not seeing any questions. So
okay, there was quite a few I passed through the thing, and we have to end it off with a laugh from your brother. Very cool to see you, Travis.
What instruments do I play? Do you play? Well, Travis
plays a skin flute.
Play that every day.
Hell
Travis is a percussionist and drummer, and I play piano and primarily guitar, but I switched to piano primary.
Alex. He's totally 2D flowing me, dude. I told him, we're an exclusive relationship, but now he's like trying to, hit on other people and stuff. We'll talk about that later, Alex. That's a joke, by the way.
All right, let's roll it.
I'm not gay. Alex is. He's going to kill me then. Okay, let's play it. Guys, thanks for joining us, and we'll put this on full screen so you can enjoy the outro.
Let go of that feeling. I know you lost all hope, and your eyes from the ceiling, head out on the road. Still a long way to go. I know life gets you down. End of your road, you're hanging from a tiny little thread. You got no place to go, nowhere to let go. Sometimes it's too hard to cry. Just keep it all locked up inside. Yeah, and maybe you could let it all go. But God only knows. your lust for blood. I could smell your fear. If you didn't want comfort, I don't know why you're here. You love that insincere. Let go of that feeling. It burns you down inside. And the demons that haunt you, all that pain in your mind, love will come to exercise. Sometimes it's too hard to cry. It's hard as a rock inside. The river will cut you in time. Polished stone with a precious flow. You need nothing, no one, place to call home. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Guys, thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend.
Peace.